So hey guys, some of you guys might recall, a little while ago, I made a video showcasing a way to essentially force your opponent to do something, therefore preventing them from doing another thing. In this case, it was special summoning with Black Garden in order to force your opponent to be unable to play just Flandres cards in general. And this specific lock would probably work against Math Mech as well, requiring you not to special summon any monsters except for Cybers with a lot of these effects. So that would be, let's see, like Splash Mage, I believe, has an effect relating to this a little bit. You can target a Cybers monster in your graveyard, but you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for Cybers monster. So Splash Mage isn't affected, but the card that's affected in specifically Cyber decks is Transcode Talker, I believe. You cannot special summon the turn you activate this effect except for Cyber's monsters. So if your opponent doesn't catch it, it would kinda work, but not as devastating as like Flandres. And I think it's close to or more effective to activate something like a Clockwork Knight or Zombie World, depending on exactly what Cyber's deck you're facing. But alright, that aside, now I'm just thinking, can we force Branded to be unable to play next? So, Branded Fusion's condition says, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for fusion monsters the turn you activate this card. So, to do this would be like really difficult, but I don't think necessarily impossible. It might seem like it at first, but everyone knows Brand Fusion, pretty good card. It says you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for fusion monsters the turn you activate this card. So logically, the only two types of cards you would usually have in Branded, in my opinion, would be Link and then Fusion. So you might run SP, not that likely, but you could, just for a later turn play. It can come up, right? And then the most common one probably being Verte, because it can send Branded Fusion and do stuff, right? But aside from that, the rest of your deck should be fusions, right? So you would think it should be impossible for you to special summon from the extra deck a type of monster aside from fusion, right? Well, even if you're running all fusion monsters, it's probably possible, I'm thinking. So the reasoning behind this is, well, first off, maybe there's a card. Well, I'm not 100% sure about this right now, but maybe there is a card that just forces your opponent to special summon perhaps a Link monster from their extra deck, and then they'd be forced to summon Verte, for example. If we were able to do that, then that would do it. But notice something strange about the wording on Branded Fusion? Well, it says you cannot special summon from the extra deck. Does it say your extra deck? No, it does not. And if it does not say specifically your extra deck, then what about your opponent's extra deck? So what if I were to, for example, force my opponent somehow to special summon a monster, not from their extra deck, but my extra deck? And what if I have no fusions in my extra deck, for example? Would this not force my opponent to be unable to activate Branded Fusion? Perhaps. Now, well, here comes the problem. So, this might be like possible to do, like in the context of if I'm maybe like playing, I guess, Branded. I could technically do this to myself if I tried hard enough, but to force your opponent to do this type of action, now that's pretty rough. So we also need this to be done pretty early on. I don't think we need to do it in the same way with Flandres, where we need to do it before main phase, necessarily. So that's not going to be as bad. But there are ways we could maybe do this. So the first way I'm thinking is if we can force our opponent to just do a link summon, that would force them into making Verte, and then maybe we could pop Verte or something. Just remove Verte, negate Verte, whatever. And then they're locked out of Branded Fusion, and maybe this could double down as kind of removal. Maybe. So, how can we force our opponent to make Verte? Is there a card that forces your opponent to link summon? I'm not 100% sure. And then next, we're going to have to look for a card that forces our opponent to special summon from our extra deck, which I'm not really sure if there's a card like that. Because the only ones I can think of are fairly optional, and I can't really force my opponent to use this, I don't think. Well, we'll see though. I believe the effect on this is optional. So let's see. When this card is activated, you can send a Photon or Galaxy card from your deck to the graveyard. If Galaxy Eye's Photon Dragon is special summoned to your field during the damage step, you can look at your opponent's extra deck. So, optional effect that you can refuse to do right here. Banish one monster, so they get a choice between banishing a monster or special summoning. So this won't work. So we'll just go through a couple. The other card I can remember that kinda does this, I guess we have Mimigal, which is an XYZ deck. So this might be fine. Let's see. What does this do? Nothing. That's not the card then. Mimigal Charm. Once per chain during the main phase, if a Mimigal monster your opponent controls is flipped face up, you can randomly choose a face-down card in your opponent's extra deck, and if it is a monster that can be special summoned it to your field but cannot activate its effects this turn. If it wasn't or couldn't be special summoned, banish that card. So this is not optional. Is this optional? You can. Yeah, that's optional. So even if we somehow force the Mimical Charm onto our opponent's field and then did this effect, it wouldn't work. Okay. Simply because that's optional to activate. And we can't make that really mandatory to activate, but this is the right kind of effect, but also there's no way to forcibly activate like Mimical Charm on our opponent's field. Like even if we exchange the card over, they won't like necessarily do it, but is there a card that perhaps makes your opponent special summon from your extra deck? I don't know. Opponent special summon extra deck. Let's see. All of these keywords aren't really helping. Your opponent can special summon. Optional. Is there a mandatory? Force your opponent to special summon type effect. Similar to, I guess, Black Garden. Well, so far, not really seeing anything. And even if there was an effect, if it's not mandatory, it doesn't work. So, like, with these cards that say your opponent can special summon, there was something similar to margin trading, which worked like that. That would kind of do it. But this also has to be done on your opponent's turn. So, another added step of difficulty here. Let's see. What about this card? Numbers Archive. What was the effect on this again? Oh, Archive? Okay. Number Archive. Soft once return quick effect, you detach one material from this card, your opponent randomly chooses one card in your extra deck, and if it is a number monster, that's a number between 1 and 99 in its name. Special summon it. Yeah, that's not really going to work either. Can we force someone to special summon from their opponent's deck? Specifically the extra deck. I mean, theoretically it should work. It's just a matter of if you can find a way to do it, I suppose. So that's annoying. Specifically, the conditions are like fairly strict. So not really sure if we can get this to work here. Like at all. It would be a little bit easier if we could force our opponent to make us like special summon from a certain location, like maybe a synchro from the graveyard, but since it has to be specifically summoned from the extra deck, that makes things a lot tougher. Wait a second, there was one card that kind of works for this, but it is fairly hard to do, right? Well, let's see. What was it called again? Opponent, extra deck, then should be a trap, I think. Well, let's go through these real quick. Chosen of Zephyra. Simultaneous equation cannon, discordance, Soul of the Supreme King. Oh wait, Soul of the Supreme King? No. Benzi, reincarnation of the seventh emperors. Oh. Nope. Domain. Get out. Take 2 monsters your opponent controls that were special summon from the extra deck, shuffle them into the deck. Oh wait, what? This card's actually not completely terrible. Alright. Waking the Dragon. Not quite. Ultimate Crystal Magic. Nope. Spicy Universe. Wait, what's this do? Nope. Nope. Stardust Respark. Princess card. Sarzer card. And Point Dash. Aha, this card. Each player reveals one face down card from the extra deck. If they are the same type, send your opponent's card to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon your card. If the cards have the same original type and attribute, your opponent loses LP equal to the revealed card's attack. Otherwise, send your card to the graveyard, and if you do, your opponent special summons their card. So this is the right type of effect, almost, but still off. So the one that's actually special summoning here, in this case, is you and not your opponent. Unless they hit Verte, which is a 1 in 15 chance. So that sucks. But actually, this isn't even RNG. They would have to go out of their way to select Verte. So yeah, that's not going to work unless you were to remove every card from your opponent's extra deck, aside from Verte. And also, the other issue with this is technically the one that did this special summon is not your opponent, it's you, so Granite Fusion is technically activatable if they can put their extra deck cards back, so still got a long way to go here, I guess. Send 2 random fusion monsters from your opponent's extra deck to the graveyard. Success probability 0%. What is this card? I've never seen this card in my life. What the hell? Okay. Converging Wishes. Nope. Ryuge End. That doesn't really do anything, right? Hmm. Forcing your opponent to special summon from the extra deck, that's not really something that's easily doable, especially without a way to force your opponent to activate a trap, despite also having to find a way to give them a trap and making it activatable. Apparently, right now, I believe there's no real way to do that, unfortunately. So, yeah, that sucks. But, At the very least, it is possible to force your opponent to special summon from their extra deck via like pinpoint dash. It requires like probably a dumb amount of setup, so that doesn't necessarily feel great either. If pinpoint dash worked in the reverse way, where they needed to pick something different, then I feel like it would be just a lot better, and performing this type of lock would be like a lot easier to do, I guess. Well, as of currently, like I might just be missing something. I don't really know of a way to really prevent branded fusion from being activatable in this way. Maybe I'm just missing something, but yeah. Forcing your opponent to force you to special summon from the extra deck, that's a bit of a high hurdle. So yeah, for the time being, I don't really have an answer to how to do this. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.